Hi, and welcome to Teletalk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're enjoying what you hear, please rate, review, and subscribe. It means so much to us.
It really does. And if you want to hit us up on our socials, we're at TeletalkPod on Blue Sky and on Facebook. And you can email us at teletalkpod@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you.
So this episode, we are armchair experting, Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episode 13, The Second Commitment Ceremony.
You got all that. Although I would like to note, a couple of our couples are not married at first sight.
Yeah,
they dated before.
You bring this up every time?
And you better get used to it, because I'm going to bring it up every time until they leave.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
So let's start with Tony and Morena, because they are up first on the couch.
Oh yay! Tony and Morena, they'll be fun.
So, I have a question for you. How do you think this went?
Better than I expected, but I still don't think it went massively well, if I'm honest.
Okay, do you want to elaborate?
Well, they did eventually get to hear each other a bit. Like, Tony made concessions, and sort of said, I shouldn't leave so often, and I'll try and work on that.
Tony time?
Yes, we heard about Tony time. It's great. And I think they did push Morena, the experts, as much as they could without Morena, I don't know, killing them. But I'm not convinced that Morena is convinced by all of this.
So, yeah, I was left a bit underwhelmed by them.
That's a much better way of saying what I said.
I was hoping for more from the experts. However, I totally understand that if they gave more and they did more the vindication style thing that I was wanting as an audience member, that she wouldn't have heard that and she could have possibly left and been really upset and damaged by it as well. I think she needed that gentle hand that John brought.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you can watch it in two ways. There's the audience member watching it as reality telly and wanting a big bust up and fireworks. But then there's the human side that wants to see these people get better as people and to maybe make a go of it as a couple, that can recognise that maybe that's not the right way forward. There's a sort of like that conflicting need. We've talked about it with the experts before, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think there's an inherent understanding for people that go on the show that there's going to be some self-improvement, some difficult lessons in how they come across and the ways that they damage relationships, the whole reason they're on this show. So I think there is some of that kindness needed as an audience member that I definitely forget about at times, and I'm like, just tell her she's shit.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I think it comes up at least a couple of occasions on this episode where I think there's a fine line between people that have some issues but can work on it and people that are on this show that really should just be in quite intensive therapy and probably shouldn't be on telly.
And I think those people that you're talking about lack self-awareness. They lack any level of self-awareness. They are just so totally in their own minds.
That sounds a lot like you're describing Morena, if I'm honest.
At this point, yeah, and I do agree that I'm not sure there's any hope for them, because I'm not sure that she in particular is actually hearing what the experts are saying to her.
Well, and it's reflective as well by Morena seems to have made quite the impression on the entire group because everyone seems on edge when she's talking.
Yeah, they all looked really scared of her, didn't they?
Jamie, in particular, is terrified.
Yeah, she's quite authoritarian, Morena, isn't she?
As evidenced by how she reacts to people laughing at her joke.
I know. I thought that was incredible. She made a joke, everyone laughed, and then she gets upset by it and very aggressively upset by it.
It's a bold stand-up technique. Because, yeah, she gets offended that everyone's against her for laughing at her joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm beginning to think it wasn't a joke.
So John asks Morena to give a percentage of who's to blame for the problems in their relationship. Tony has given them 50% each. Morena struggles with this for a while, and after a lot of avoiding, she eventually lands on 80% of the blame is Tony's. And I think she really wanted to give him 100.
Oh, that becomes incredibly clear, because when pressed on what her 20% was, she goes, well, talking and being open. So you're basically saying that your 20% blame was trying.
I thought this was a really clever technique of John's, though, because he uses this as a way to hold up a mirror to Morena on her own behaviour and how she comes across.
Yeah, that is true.
And he moves into getting her to understand that her tone is aggressive and that her hand gestures of pointing makes people not want to listen to her or even be around her.
I thought the group was very brave in mimicking the finger pointing behind her back the whole while this was going on. Because if she got wind of that, they would be for it.
Yes, I don't think I'd have been doing that.
No. I am not that brave.
Absolutely.
But John is brave enough to call her out on it, like you said. And it's really interesting because she conveys that she's not aware of that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, whether you believe that or not's another thing. But John asks her, has anyone told you that before? And I'm like, of course they haven't. No, there is no person in the world that's brave enough to tell that to Morena.
Yeah. And I actually thought that she came across as quite genuine and vulnerable in that moment of saying, no one's ever said that before. It seemed like there was a moment there, a glimpse into self-understanding.
There's something unfinished with that I'm just not convinced. I don't think she's going to take that fully on board and really embrace it.
She opted to leave and Tony opted to stay, and he'd drawn a reset button on his piece of paper. When they got back to the couch, he says to her, press the button with me. And the group sort of cajoles her, and she does, and that's the first moment of fun and joy that I've seen in her.
Fun and joy, no smiling, though. Does Morena ever smile?
But did she smile?
Not in that bit. We do see her smile later, which was very unsettling for me. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, so ultimately, Tony and Morena are staying. They live to see another week, and hopefully we'll see them at the next dinner party. Let's move on to Jamie and Dave.
They're fun, and I've been debating. What do you think their couple name is? Is it Damie or Jave?
I really like Jave.
Yeah, it's got to be Jave.
Yeah.
So next up is Jave. This is going to live for the rest of the show for us now.
Are you going to do this for all couples?
Tony and Morena have not earned...
Terena.
No, they haven't earned a couple name.
Oh. I'll just hold that then.
Oh, well, Terena or Moni. Moni! Okay, I take it back. They're Moni.
Brilliant.
So yes, Jave are almost the opposite of Tony and Morena. They're so connected, they're so on the same page, they seem to uplift each other, and it's really heartwarming to see. Sort of, they make me feel the way that their relationship makes Jamie feel, which is like sappy and a bit like, oh god, why am I being this way?
It's a bit infectious, isn't it?
Yeah, where's all my cynicism gone? I like them and they're precious and must be defended at all costs. Things like her saying that he doesn't bring down her effervescence, and like he lets her be her and celebrates when she's vulnerable and things like that. That positive reinforcement and that support. As someone who can be a bit quirky, it really speaks to me that someone is supportive of that and lifts you up rather than brings you down. And that's such a powerful thing and so simple.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks wonders for them.
You've basically said everything that I have written down.
Oh. And I can't even see your notes.
I know. I've put that they big each other up, they are non-judgmental with each other, and they respect and share their core values. and that their happiness is infectious.
They are made of tie signs. They are touchy-feely. When we glimpse them on the Gen Pop couches, they're stroking each other's fingers and hands, and they're very tactile. And when they were gesturing about the pointing, Dave's sort of like poking them in the
That
face.
was so funny.
They're very visibly connected and comfortable and affectionate, and it's infectious.
Yeah. They both stay.
Who'd have thought?
So Jave gets to live another day.
Yay. So moving on to Paul or Purina.
Karina and Paul.
Yeah, they don't really work as a couple name. But they're one of the ones that have met before, so they don't count.
Right.
Moving
on.
Yeah, I just wrote good, happy, boring, happy days.
Oh,
I don't know how comfortable she actually is, though.
okay.
I felt like she was instinctively quite uncomfortable with the talk because it was very sex-oriented. And there's something about her body language that just screamed discomfort to me. Maybe I was projecting because I found it uncomfortable.
Okay, that's interesting because I don't have any of that.
Oh, you thought that they were not good, not happy, and they weren't boring?
I'm just going to ignore that and go with my thing.
Okay, please do.
So I thought that they were both really smiley, they were open, they were chatting happily with the nearly said judges, experts.
7.
They were really comfortable with each other. They were intimate with their tie signs, as you just referred to. And I got the real impression that he adores her. I felt that they were emotionally connected, and I think at one point, one of them said that they were in awe of the other.
Yeah, I think she said she was in awe of him.
Are you feeling like that's too much?
I don't know, and this might just be my personal feelings coming to it, because there's something about him that, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. There's just something about him that gives me like a, I don't know, I don't want to say like, I don't like him, but there's something not quite right there, and I couldn't point to anything in particular, because they just seem happy, and there's not been anything negative about them. Maybe it's the ongoing mystery of where he puts his underwear after he's had a shower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's just something, and I couldn't tell you what. An instinct.
Okay.
I'd say women's intuition, but...
Awkward.
They're making all the right noises, but for whatever reason, I'm not 100% convinced.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Maybe it's because they met before.
You need to just drop that.
I can't let it go. Do you know who else can't let things go? Jackie of Jackie and Ryan. Giant or Racky?
I like Racky.
Racky.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Racky.
They're mad as a box of frogs, the two of them.
Oh my god.
I have never seen our experts fundamentally baffled.
Everyone was baffled.
Well, yeah.
They panned round to everyone and everyone's looking confused.
I think Ryan was as confused as everyone else.
I disagree. He seemed to be going along for the ride. We are talking about the moment when Jackie goes off talking about their hypothetical future children.
Oh god, yeah.
Everyone starts looking confused. What? And then when Ryan joins in and colludes with her in this, that's when we lose the experts.
The shared mania.
Yeah.
Because I just wrote, of that little sequence, I wrote, what the fuck? Why is he talking about his son? Oh god, he's crying now. I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's so weird. But on the plus side, I learned something from this. And I think we can all take this very important relationship lesson that I need to bring into our relationship.
Oh,
and
dear.
that is that flowers solve everything.
Mm.
He bought her flowers, and so everything else that had happened went even further under the carpet, and suddenly he was everything she needed. I mean, if only everyone else knew. Surely the experts should just be going, you, buy them flowers, boom, done. Read the simplest show ever. You're staring at me.
Yeah, because I'm remembering the bafflement that I had when watching this, and I'm reliving it now.
Oh, wait, I've realised 2 flowers.
Yeah, two bunches
bouquets.
of flowers. Well, what's interesting is that she brings up the flowers quite early on in their chat, and it all goes downhill from there because Alessandra brings them back to the ranking challenge, which we saw her spiral about in the dinner party episode.
Alessandra was over Jackie's shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. At one point, John had his head in his hands. It was chaos.
Well, one of the lads, and I can't remember which one, said that Ryan should be treating Jackie like the most special person in the world. And Ryan goes, yeah, special, not beautiful.
I'm like, oh mate, you have not got this, have you?
What? Oh my god. Oh my god.
I laugh, but I feel like at some point in life and our relationship, I have been that stupid with a point of like pedantry, and I've probably been equally stupid.
Well, this is what sparks her, Jackie, off on the child thing of like, it's not about me. I've got enough self-esteem to cope with this, but what about my unborn children?
Yeah, and it's like, wait, what? This took a turn.
Yeah, and I feel like in this moment, she's borrowing from Athena, because Athena has very real child concerns in that she actually has a child in this.
Oh yeah.
And she gets a lot of real empathy and consideration from the group and from the experts. And I feel like that in this moment is what Jackie's going for, but it just leaves everyone confused.
Yeah, confusion is very much their tag line, like Jackie and Ryan, confusion. I also enjoy that when asked what he likes about her, one of his main things was, she does her best to be emotionally intelligent. Which, one, makes it seem like she tries but doesn't manage it, and two, is the most condescending thing I've heard in some while.
Yeah, very condescending, very arrogant.
And she had to reassure him that he's a very smart man. And he's like, I know.
Ugh.
You are not. But yeah, they both stay, inexplicably.
And they look really smug about it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the delusion.
I know. And no one's in this with them. It's just them.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any hope for them?
No.
I don't, but then at the same time, there's a part of me that just feels like they're just mad enough that they might just, like Tori and Jack last season, us against the world. It doesn't really matter what anyone else says. We're just going to be mad as a bag of frogs together.
Yeah. That's always a possibility. I just don't think that these two are gracious enough to care about other people enough to make any sort of relationship work.
Yeah, they're both very self-focused,
Yeah.
I think. They've both got very high opinions of themselves and actually very low opinions of the other.
They both have main character syndrome, and this does not work together.
I don't like to use the word toxic often, because I think it can get thrown around too much, but I feel like their dynamic is very toxic.
I just think it's childish.
There is that too.
I think they both give as good as they get. And what did John say last episode? It was something like internal struggle? An internal chaos. Internal chaos.
Of course the chaos word comes out.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just what it is.
Well, to be fair, maybe they can bond over a shared trip to IKEA to buy a bigger rug to stuff all the additional issues that they've got under it.
As long as when they get home they don't sit down to try and watch the same TV programme, because he likes to watch fiction and she likes to watch documentaries.
But like you said, they both stay. We get another week of this madness, so presumably they'll make it to the next dinner party.
I would have thought so.
Do you want them to, or would you be happier if they just quietly separated between the episodes we see?
Okay, so my problem is that I really enjoy watching the happy couples, and I like to see things working, and I like to see people growing and being successful. And if everyone was like that, the show would be very boring.
Yeah, if everyone was Jamie and Dave, you get so sick of them so quickly.
Yeah.
But then if the whole show was Jackie and Ryan... No, I'm lying. That would be amazing.
Nah, I'd stop watching that.
Would you?
Yeah. It would be too much. You need the balance.
I can't tell if... Because my instinct is like, no, that would be fascinating, but I suspect you're right.
I'm always right.
I'm going to go with yes, dear.
Right. Ree and Jeff, what have you come up with for their names?
Ref
Right.
or G? Oh,
G.
Jeffrey.
Right.
Jeffrey.
Okay.
Well, it's better than Re-Jeff. It's not, is it?
Like reset, revive, refocus.
Repress. It's Rejeff. Rejeff.
Okay.
They're doing the work, aren't they?
Yeah, they seem really comfortable together, and it feels like they have a very deep connection.
This show seems determined to give us whiplash, like tonal whiplash between couples. Because they seem to be doing it the right way, as far as I can see.
They haven't been sexually intimate this time round, but they know it can work. They are focusing on building that emotional foundation.
I think they might be cruising for a problem, because I think this whole intimacy thing is getting built up and built up and built up, and it's becoming this huge, big thing.
Could be.
There's a lot of pressure, and every time they talk about it, she looks anxious. And he's talking about, like, the next step is going on to the intimacy, and that's the only thing we need to do to take it to the next level, and I think I get the impression that he is willing, she is not.
That could be interesting then.
Yeah, it's just, there's a sense of there could be trouble a-brewing.
Okay.
Well, you know, she's talked about worrying that the relationship's going to fizzle out after they get physical, so it's all going to come to a head.
And yet here she is, going for a shower, and while she's in the bathroom, he's turning the house around.
Yes, and Adrian tries to shut that shit down. Adrian is not a fan of this talk.
Yeah.
Oh, he's making me look bad doing stuff. That's
Well,
what cleaners do.
Jeff has offered to give him some pointers.
There is no way in hell that Adrian is... He might show up at Sierra's room by mistake. Oh no, I thought this was Jeff and Rhee's room. Oh.
Well, actually, let's move on to Athena and Adrian, because, what?
Well, Rhee and Jeff stay,
Oh, yeah.
in case you were unsure.
Athena and Adrian, now I was really cross at the producers at this point.
Why?
Because we know from the little clips that they ask Sierra if she's got close to any other group members. So we know that that comes up. And yet we see Athena and Adrian first. And so we have their whole couch discussion without that elephant in the room being discussed. And Athena does get really upset when we then talk to Sierra and Billy later on.
She does. I suppose in their defence, and I might be being overly generous, they may be hoping to prevent it completely kicking off before we've had a chance to have all the couples do their talk. Because they might have had a real fear that whatever came out would have completely blown everything up.
I just thought it was a really shitty thing to do to Athena.
Oh, yeah, but like we've seen on this show, the producers are not afraid to be a bit shitty to some of the contestants.
I just feel like she needed the support of the experts to deal with this information that comes out, and because of how they were placed in that order, she didn't get it.
I find it really interesting, and I don't know whether my read on it is different to the experts, but I feel like the experts are quite inconsistent with how strongly they call out what I consider to be quite problematic behaviour. Because John was unequivocal about his criticism of Tim in our last set of episodes, you know, saying he was doing gaslighting 101 and stuff like that. Very strong, condemning terminology and language. And I feel like they gave Adrian a very easy ride. And that might be because I hate Adrian. Yeah, I'm going to say, I was almost going to walk that back, but I really don't like Adrian. I think Athena is a sweetheart and he is a dick.
Yeah, that is strong language.
I hate everything about this couch session. I found it very uncomfortable. He continued in what I consider emotionally bullying her in front of the experts, and they sort of called him on it, but not particularly strongly. And they were more forceful with her than with him, which I found displeasing.
I thought she was very vulnerable in this discussion, and I felt like he was immature and rude.
Yeah, and some.
But I did make a note that I thought the experts were quite mean.
Too.
I don't know, I didn't write that down.
Oh. I thought they were mean to her. This is what I mean. Like, they said they were going to hold him to account, but they basically were just like, how do you feel it makes her feel? And stuff like that. But when John asks Athena, do you want to be in a relationship? And she starts going, well, it's very different. He's like, no, it's a simple question, answer it.
Oh yeah, that was it.
And I just thought, this is not the one you need to be firm with. Unless he was hoping that he'd force her into saying no. I just felt like Of the two of these people that needs firmness, I don't feel like it's Athena.
Well, Mel did hold a mirror up to Adrian and said, look, she's being honest, and what are you doing? You're looking up, you're pulling a face, you're looking over to the lads. Like, you're doing a lot of avoiding.
Yeah, I guess what I was hoping for, that he would get put in his place, and I don't feel like he was.
Oh, like I was hoping for with Morena.
Yeah.
So what more did you want?
I wanted them to call him out for the microaggressions and the constantly put down. Like, he seems to have conditioned her to invalidate herself now, not just him invalidating her. I don't know. I guess maybe they're trying to give him a chance to redeem himself or to alter his behaviour, but I just have decided that he's irredeemable and needs to get in the bin.
I don't think it's going to last very long.
I hope it doesn't last very long.
Especially with what happens next.
They both stay.
And then we cut to Sierra and Billy.
That we do, our final couple of the evening.
And Sierra is stony-faced.
Where we'd seen in the opening to this, with the sort of preamble, that they had had sex the night before. And, I don't know that I've seen anything quite so awkward on the telly or uncomfortable as their morning in their hotel room. You could feel it, couldn't you, coming through the telly, seeping into your bones.
Well, and that's mirrored on the couch, again, very far away from each other. She's not looking at him.
No. Although it was fascinating that when they revealed that they'd had sex, they cut to Adrian, who does not seem pleased by this revelation.
No, he looks very put out.
Oh, yeah. Which I enjoyed.
And she refers to it as a drunken fumble, which seems to cut Billy deeply.
Well, yeah, it seems like for him it was a very emotional and intimate thing that they'd built up to. And so I think in the context of one, it had built up to everything and he was expecting it to be a positive, and it was just suddenly really negative afterwards. But also her then dismissing it and their alignment being so completely off. That must have really hurt him, like you said.
Yeah, and I could see her in this moment being very emotionally cut off. And I did believe her when she said she was struggling to be open and vulnerable with Billy. I don't know if that's because she doesn't really trust the connection they have and she doesn't really want the relationship, whereas she has been able to open up to Adrian.
Yeah, and that hurts Billy a lot, as well as Athena.
Yeah, and then we see Sierra apologising to Athena. And Billy's like, what about me?
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Billy. I feel guilty because you make snap judgments on people, particularly on these shows, when you see them. You look at them and go, I'm either going to like you or I'm not, or I make a judgment on you. And I looked at Billy, and I made a very complete wrong judgment about him. I looked at him and thought he'd be a bit of a lad. And all of that, but actually he seems really emotionally connected to himself and quite emotionally mature, and I identify with him in different ways, in a way that I wasn't expecting.
And actually earlier I was talking about a lot of these people lack self-awareness, and I think he has quite a lot.
They seem to be in a difficult spot where she is very closed off emotionally for reasons that she doesn't want to get into. Whereas he's very focused on trying to build that emotional connection. So they're at an impasse. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to overcome that. And it's sort of hard to identify why that is. Because she can open up to Adrian. And it might have been because the pressure was off. There wasn't like this almost like expectation or demand. Because she does say like, I hate feeling like I have to. And that might play into her situation. So what she's saying might well be entirely true. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's very damaging for their relationship.
Yeah. I thought she was quite genuine and quite vulnerable. And she says that she wants to open up to Billy. They both stay, and she says that in this week she's going to open up to him. And I was wondering if she actually will.
I don't think that she will. When I was talking earlier in the show about some of the participants in this show probably would be better off having intensive therapy than being in the fishbowl of a TV show, I think really I had Sierra in mind quite strongly for that.
Yeah.
I think she's got some stuff to deal with. If the one person that you're identifying in a close way on the show is Adrian, you have a problem.
How judgmental of you.
I am judging. If you're if you're choosing to be friends with Adrian, you got problems.
Okay.
That's my hot take.
So the couples that are doing well and seem like nice people, you discount because they already knew each other, and so it's not...
No, Jamie and Dave.
Yeah, with the exception of Jamie and Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone else you hate.
No. I like Athena.
Uh-huh.
And Tony seems all right.
Okay.
Who are the other people? I like Billy.
Right.
So
there's really just a handful.
Basically, the ones that aren't doing well, I very much pick a side. The right side of good.
Okay.
I don't like bullies.
Okay, so you feel that there's a lot of bullying going on within these couples.
Some of them, yeah. Like most people, I think I look at this and go, I don't like you. Like Adrian, there's a lot about him I dislike, and so I categorise him as the bad guy.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the show is editing for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for that. They've clearly... They need villains and they need people to root for.
Yeah.
But I think some people probably just naturally open themselves to being maybe the villains because they're not good people.
Yeah, if they provide the content so that the editing is easy.
I mean, it's rare that you get a couple like Jackie and Ryan where I'm like, I don't like either of you.
But then you can contrast that to Jamie and Dave, where you like both of them.
I do. And no doubt we'll get to like 7 episodes in and I'll be like, well, I was wrong. These people are all problematic.
Okay. More problematic and not you were wrong and they're all great.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. They've all come on to Married at First Sight in their 30s or over. They're probably...
No, that is not true.
No?
No. I can tell you for a start that Jackie is 29.
No. Okay, well, I'm going to say everyone that comes on Married at First Sight has got some baggage.
Yeah. Well, I know that she is 29, Athena is 30, and for some reason, I know that Morena is 57. 53.
So when you say you know she's 57,
yeah,
you seem less sure of that.
7 and 3 for me are very similar.
Is she 53 and 7/4?
Well, she didn't go into that level of detail.
I don't know, it just... With Jackie and Ryan, I don't know how you fit that much chaos in at that young an age. That feels like you got to really work at it for a good few decades.
That's a lifetime.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on. Like when she starts talking about like her fears of her partner not being there for her kids, not validating them and having to correct the partner to the kids by going, no, he doesn't mean that, etc. I'm like, ooh, I feel like that might speak to some parental issues. There's some stuff going on with a lot of people here. It's easy to forget that they're people.
Yes, and they're not just characters.
Yeah, and they are characters, bless them, but yeah, they are people with real lives, and that's hard to remember when they're being shown in very specific cuts.
So what would you rate this episode?
I would like to hear your rating first.
Would you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm very interested in it.
I'm suspicious of your motives. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10.
Oh, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it was good and I did enjoy it. The 10 out of 10 would have come from a bit more from the experts, but I do understand why they didn't. So I'm going to be kind. It's 8 out of 10.
I feel like 8 out of 10 is kind of like your most common rating.
The thing is, we only watch shows that we enjoy.
That's true. It would really suck if we were like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Although I'm starting to feel like I might be hate watching Married at First Sight a bit.
Okay, well, what have you rated it then?
I have rated this episode a solid 5 death glares out of 7.
Morena death glares.
Sure, why not?
5 out of 7 is not a I'm hating this show kind of score.
Well, no, like, I love the show. I think I'm hate watching it. And there's a lot to be said for a good hate watch. So some proper catharsis going, I'm glad I'm not these people. I'm much more stable. As I sit watching them, judging them. Yeah. I was going to say silently judging them, but I'm very much not silently doing that. I'm releasing a podcast about it.
You've found an outlet.
So yeah, look, I'm judgy. I'm not going to lie. I come to you for the reasoned thought an input. I just go, I don't like that person, they're bad. I like that person, they're good.
I think I've done just as much of that as you have.
And you're just not as vocal as me.
Yeah, well, you do talk a lot.
And on that note, that is all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review the podcast. Your thoughts really mean a lot to us. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Toodles.